The German Cup final, Bayern Munich beating Bayer Leverkusen by a final score of 4-2. Munich, for the fifth time in the last 8 years, champions of the German double. Alaba, Gnabry, Robert Lewandowski scoring for Bayern Munich. We're joined now by Stewart Robson. Robbo, as we just saw, Bayern Munich, as they usually are in Germany, pretty comfortable today, no?
Yeah, it was comfortable in the first half. They played well in the first half. They got their goal fairly early on. Alaba's free kick, a great free kick, but it was somewhat out the blue. I just don't think that Bayer Leverkusen really gave them a problem in the first half. They didn't close down well enough. It was too easy for Bayern to keep possession. They could play out from the back at will. But that, I thought, all changed in the second half. And suddenly, with Bayern Munich holding this high defensive line, which they try and do, suddenly Bayer Leverkusen realised how to play against it by hitting big diagonals in behind them, by playing balls round the corner, getting front players to time their runs. They looked a much bigger threat and they pressed high around the field. And when it was 3-1, had Bayer Leverkusen scored the next one, I think Bayern Munich might have been under a bit of pressure. I think it was a very good display by Bayern Munich in the second half.
We had Jan Fjortov on the show the other day. He was explaining Leverkusen's Neverkusen nickname. You hate to rely on an old stereotype, but the second, the third goals especially seemed like classic self-destruction.
Well, obviously, the third goal was poor goalkeeping. It was just one long kick from Manuel Neuer. They're trying to squeeze up. They're not on the half turn. Lewandowski, great first touch. But as the goalkeeper's backing off, Radetzky, he makes a real mess of it. So poor goalkeeping from him. And from that moment on, you thought that Bayern Munich were going to just take advantage and pick them off at will. But that wasn't the case. And it wasn't until that fourth goal went in that you realised that Bayern Munich were going to win the cup. I thought it was an indifferent display by Bayern Munich. And it shows that if you can play balls in behind them, you can close them down and stop them playing in midfield. They missed Thiago. Thiago came on late on the game, but I don't think Goretzka's anywhere near the level of Thiago. When Bayer Leverkusen started to press in that area, it was a chance, and they get on getting balls in behind. And just for maybe 15, 20 minutes, it looked as though Bayer Leverkusen could get themselves back into the game.
Right, you look at the Champions League odds, as we've seen throughout this week on the show. Bayern Munich are listed among the favorites, but they're going to have a month off. What kind of impact do you think that'll have on their rhythm?
It might be difficult for them because they're the informed team at the moment. You know, they came back earlier than everybody else. They've had a great time since starting football again. They've won most of their games. They've looked exceptional in most of the games. They look comfortable in most of the games. But having that break, it might just take the edge off their ability to pick it up again. And I think teams will watch what Bayern Munich have done over the last few weeks and see this high line and think there's ways we can break them down. If we get the timing of the runs right from the front, let's get midfield runners going as well, get big diagonals played in behind their fullbacks, we can cause Bayern Munich problems. And I think that might be their undoing. I certainly have them down as the favourites on their current form. But if teams look at the way they play and come up with a game plan and a strategy to break down that high offside line, they could be vulnerable.
As we showed you at the top of the segment, Robbo, Bayern Munich have been dominating Germany. They're about to add Leroy Sané. They've been linked to Kai Havertz. Do you think we will soon see them as dominating Europe?
There's every chance they could do, but I still think they need a centre-half. We saw Boateng have to go off in this game. Alaba's done a great job in there. Hernandez came on and played on the left-hand side. Pavard, who's playing at right-back, can also play at centre-half. So Sula, who was back into the squad today, he's another player that they've got. But I still think they need strengthening in that area. That could be a sort of an area where they may just struggle to beat the very best teams in Europe. And without Thiago, because there's every talk about Thiago going off somewhere else, I think they might struggle in midfield. As I said, Goretzka's not the same sort of level as Thiago. Sane will play higher up the field. And I'm not sure that Kai Havertz is going to go to Bayern Munich. All the talk is about him going to Chelsea.
What do you make of what's happened to Thiago at Bayern Munich? Just a couple months ago, he was the engine of their midfield. Now he's expendable?
Well, he's had an injury. That was the major problem for him. Then he's suggested to the Bayern board that he might want to take on a different role somewhere else, go to another club. I think that would be a major blow for Bayern Munich. I think he's been outstanding for them. Him and Kimmich in midfield have been the rock where they can build everything from. They've got a great passing range. Kimmich is the player that gets around the field. Thiago with his passing range and his technical ability. That's been excellent for them. Without him today, I didn't think they controlled midfield. Goretzka couldn't give that same sort of domination that Thiago does. So that would be a major loss if Thiago goes.
One of the places he's linked, Liverpool. You think it'd be a good fit?
I think wherever Thiago goes, he'd be a good fit because he's an outstanding player. He's a midfield player that can do both sides of the game. You know, he's not You wouldn't say he's a brilliant defender, but he'll get in the way of things. He'll get good positional play. He'll block balls into the front players. He'll go and get his tackles in when he needs to. But his ability on the ball is second to none in midfield. He can switch play. He can hit penetrative passes over the top. He scores the odd goal from distance. He's an outstanding midfield player. And I think he would suit whichever club he went to. Liverpool would be great for him.
Maybe I should ask the question the other way around. Do Liverpool need Thiago?
I don't think they need him, as they've proved over the last couple of seasons. They're an excellent side with what they've got. But I think if you want to build, as Liverpool did when they were winning everything in the 80s, they built every year. They bought 2 or 3 new players. They're going to have to buy 2 or 3 new players if they want to stay at the very top. They have to freshen things up. And a great way of freshening things up would be to buy Thiago. I mean, he's an outstanding player and would suit their midfield.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.